Fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home, and take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place if you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. Family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their two locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs. What's up, everybody? I got a new intro video there, a little countdown clock, give you guys some heads up on when we're getting started. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's called More Cowbell. If you notice, it was a cowbell bell, but a little bit more exciting than that. So hopefully you enjoyed it. But again, this is the Morgan Thomas Show every single week, Thursday night, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. We talk all things Clemson sports, athletics, football, basketball, baseball, softball, anything in between, anything that you want to talk about, anything we want to talk about as well. A lot to talk about, as there always is, because this is my favorite night of the week to spend it with you guys talking about Clemson athletics. But I don't just talk about it alone. Obviously, you are there, but we also have two co-hosts. Let me go ahead and introduce them in. First up, as always, my longtime good friend, Big Al, Alan Adams. Welcome in, Big Al.
Man, quick dash to be here, but I am here, ready to rock and roll. I mean, you have to know the commitment it takes to get here as fast as I still have pants on, Morgan. I still have pants on, okay?
Wow.
I mean, it's a pretty big deal for this show, but excited about tonight. Hey, spring practice has started. It's that time of year. We're excited about that. A lot to talk about there, I'm sure. A little baseball and a little basketball we'll get into as well, I would imagine, but it's going to be a good one.
How are we going to have a show with you wearing pants? Let's go ahead. Let's get that corrected right now, Al. Take them off. Go ahead. We'll give you time.
Yeah, please do.
And another one of our friends that joined us midway through, I think, our first or second season now, but he has become a great analyst and co-host for us, Mr. Houston Burnett. Welcome in.
Glad to be here. I, too, had to do a quick dash in as shout out to Seldom Used Reserve, Sluggo Podcast, the boys over there. I had to do a little Twitter space action, giving some insight into the Clemson Carolina baseball series this weekend. I should have pulled Allen on there, but he's never on Twitter enough.
Sorry, that's my bad.
It's good to talk about Clemson baseball. That's a big weekend coming up for baseball, for softball, for men's basketball. Women's basketball just lost, I believe, in the ACC tournament, so they're out. But we have a lot to talk about. But then there is the thing that I already see in the chat. Everybody's ready for spring practice. It seems like just yesterday that football was over with, and we were all crying and moping and thinking, what are we going to do? And Clemson rallied and had a great January, had great visiting results, landed a couple of recruits that we weren't expecting initially, or weren't even expecting to need initially. And then February was kind of a dead period for recruiting, but also for a lot of news, just kind of lull. But we had softball coming in, basketball finishing out, and baseball getting started. So now we're back in March, just a month later, and things are heating back up again. Baseball team is undefeated. The softball team is doing amazing and still one of the best in the nation. And the basketball team has got a fire lit under them. So, lot to go cover this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. I'm wearing my Clemson baseball hat. Houston's wearing his Clemson baseball hat. Alan?
This is the hat. This is Alan's hat. It is what
Alan's
it is.
Hat. We're looking at trying to be cohesive here.
You're putting on a baseball hat and you don't even know anything about baseball. So just stop. You're embarrassing
Very
yourself.
Accurate. Shots fired on that one.
I actually will disagree with that because I do know baseball. I actually did at the beginning of the week preview or review of what happened last week. So I understand that Clemson baseball can knock a bunch of runs in.
Yeah.
And I understand that they have one really good pitcher and they're working on the other
multiple good pitchers.
They have one really good starter.
Okay.
Yeah, one really good
starter. Yeah. I'm still learning, but let's go ahead and give a shout out to everybody. And I know what we like to do is get started and shout out everybody in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and I like this format too. You like this? Me bigger than you guys? I like it.
Oh, naturally.
Yeah.
Of course.
All right. So WB2DX says, Morgan T, what's good, man? What's up, everyone? John gets in, says, let's talk practices. Bible Belt says, what's up? John says, we need a center. WB2 says, we need more Morgan and Pete show. Well, if he'll have me, I'll go back on. Clemson Carson says, what's up, guys? Kevron says, hi, Morgan Thomas. Hi, Houston Burnett. Hi, Big Al, Alan Adams. Listening from Cope again. Clemson Carson says, looking forward to the weekend. Tigers going 15-0 this year, question mark from WB2. My dad gets in, says he's watching. Thank you for watching, Dad. And then Bible Bet says, woo. I'm guessing that's a little bit of a Ric Flair there. You know, I don't want to be the oddball out here, so I'm gonna move back to something like, oh, I like this. Yeah.
Regardless, you're the oddball out.
Regardless, okay, yeah. No matter what. All right, fellas. So last week we started baseball, basketball, and then kind of went on the way. Baseball, softball, basketball went on the way. I'd like to do that again if you guys don't mind. So we'll start out. Again, we did a video. We already posted a video on YouTube about last week. So we already know that's in the books. I haven't done anything about the game against the Spartans. They won 8-5. Now, USC Upstate, correct me if I'm wrong, last year was not an easy win. They didn't actually win it. I think they actually lost that game.
They got blown out.
They got killed.
So the fact that they came back this year and won 8-5, and then they won on somebody else's bat. French came in and hit a home run, and then Dylan Brewer hit another home run, I think right after him or shortly thereafter him, and ended up winning 8-5. So my question to you guys is, does this kind of start to show that this team has improved a lot since last year, considering what the result was last year? Are you, now that they're undefeated, they're going into a huge weekend within the state and the rivalry? Are you still excited, or as excited as you were at preseason, maybe even more excited where they are now? Al, have they been a surprise to you, or did you expect this?
No, so far they've been a surprise to me. I would have expected them to drop a game along the way somewhere, just because that typically happens regardless. And it's not like Clemson has not been one of the elite teams in the past several years. So, yeah, you would expect them to drop a game just kind of out of happenstance. South Carolina did the same thing to UNC Greensboro. So I'm really interested to hear what Houston has to say, because I know he said he just did a podcast or something to that effect, Twitter something, about this. And I have not been able to do as much research as I usually do for this week. So, look, Hartford, Clemson was able to crush Hartford. We didn't. You're not going to learn anything from that weekend, really, except for they went 3-0, and that's all I cared about. And then, of course, tacked on the extra 4 game when they beat USC Upstate. So that's a great deal. Being 8-0 in this series, South Carolina 7-1. I mean, it kind of starts to feel like one of those old Clemson South Carolina matchups, which is a great thing. It's kind of one of those things we've missed a little bit, and it's feeling really good. I am pleasantly surprised. I think you have been able to tell a little bit from Clemson, even though, again, I've said I want to withhold judgment until they play a pitching staff that can, they can get it over the plate and's got some good stuff. I really want to see what they can do there. But, I mean, right now they're tearing the cover off the ball, and that's a good thing. And one thing that I actually heard from Bradley LaCroix today on Mickey's show was there has been, very few errors this year, and that has been a problem in the past, and we are playing killer defense right now, which is a great thing. So absolutely, the baby steps are there. We still have a few things here and there that we're working on. A couple of base running errors, again, that seems to bite Clemson a lot. But overall, man, they've played really well, and I cannot wait for the series this weekend.
So now, Houston, going over to you, what about the South Carolina Upstate game first, and then you can go ahead and carry us into your answering his question, your thoughts on the South Carolina.
Well, for the 2 series, like Al was saying, normally, even if they're a decent ranked team, they drop a game along the way. That's just kind of how it is, especially when you're playing a Power 5 team to start the season, or College of Charleston and UNC Upstate, where they're both fairly high RPI mid-major teams. They're better than most, They haven't, and they've found different ways to win. You've had comeback wins. You've had games where you lulled off in the middle and gave up some runs, but figured out a way to win. You've had blowouts. You've had good pitching from a starter on Fridays, midweek starter who, look, if he keeps pitching the way it is, he could end up in the weekend rotation. And then your bullpen has been lights out all season long. Carrying into the South Carolina weekend, there's a lot. Look, I have my own opinions, and I gave my predictions on the Sluggo Twitter Spaces. So if you heard that, we're going to keep it there. I don't think we're getting into predictions or anything here. But what I will say is I feel really confident in this team, especially if they're able to seize the issues that are plaguing the South Carolina pitching staff right now. 4 major injuries that they've had. 2 starters are down. James Hicks gone for the season, lost to Tommy John surgery. Julian Bosnick, who is their best arm, is not cleared to start throwing yet. He will not be available this weekend. Josiah Seitler could play this weekend. He's not available, or at least he won't be able to pitch. And then Brett Thomas, who was a highly touted recruit for them, is not able to go this weekend as well. So that's 4 major pitchers. Now, they still have some arms. Like in South Carolina, they're able to get high talented arms. They've got Aiden Hunter, who's phenomenal. You still have Will Sanders, excuse me, Will Sanders, who's pitching on Friday night, who's very talented. But with that being said, they've had a loss to UNC Greensboro. They had to come back from 7 runs down to win on a Sunday against them. They had to come back from a 6-1 deficit against App State. If Clemson can seize momentum and hand off a sizable lead to that bullpen, I feel very confident. They just moved Nick Hoffman to Saturday as opposed to Nick Clayton. Maybe it's a comfortability thing. Maybe they're more comfortable with Hoffman. I think, that's a good move. And it's also a prove-it game for Clayton. They're switching him to the home game. This is it, If you can I see John Chauncey's status there. That would be amazing. If they're able to pull that off this weekend, that'd be awesome. But I feel confident. I feel confident that Clemson can win and maybe do just a little more than just winning. If you catch my drift there. So we'll see. But I feel good. It's the first time in a while that I'm like, I feel really good about this team going into the weekend.
I wonder where he got 30-0 from.
I don't know. You might have to go watch a 3-hour In the Shadow of Death Valley video to get some caught up in that. I don't know.
So one thing I noticed looking at the box score, we like to look at the stats so far. Cooper Ingle still leading the way, 481 right now, batting average. Tyler Corbett right behind him. Caden Grice, as you expect him to be up there as well. But again, like I said, it was different because you had Dylan Brewer and Jonathan French show up who were lower on the batting average and haven't been on the stat sheet as much, but then they provide a spark for you. So, and then you have Starbuck that's, can provide a spark off the bench. You got Wagner out there too. So there's a lot of guys. I feel like as far as batting goes, there's a lot of guys out there that can contribute, that can maybe if you get past 1 or 2 of your stars, then some other guys will step up and show what they can do. For me, I mean, it's been great. I think I read somewhere where they're scoring like 11 runs a game. I mean, if they just keep doing that the rest of the year, I mean, I don't know how many games you need to win, but if you just score 11, it'd be very hard to lose games at that way. So, unless your pitching is just terrible. But then, and like you mentioned, guys, Mac Anglin, still up there at the top of the sheet. So Mac Anglin, that's the biggest contrast that I see on the box score. The stats is Mac Anglin, 9 innings pitched, 0 ERA. All right. So that's great. 14 total strikeouts. Okay. So he is just killing it, right? Only allowed 1 hit in 10 innings pitched. That's freaking amazing. So he's the obvious Friday guy. Now, I don't know much again about like college baseball. You have to kind of explain this to me every single year, but is Friday the key game where you want your biggest, baddest pitcher versus Saturday, Sunday? Okay, so it sounds like you're nodding me yes. Mm-hmm. It seems like Mac Anglin is going up, and he's going to be on Friday, from what I can tell. Now, so the Gamecocks, as you mentioned, have a lot of injuries, but they did name Will Sanders, and our friend JP told me before the show, Will Sanders, no one to blow your nose at. He is just as good as Mac Anglin. So this could be a big-time pitchers duel coming up Friday. Houston, I'll throw it back to you. Your thoughts on that pitcher duel Friday?
Yeah, Will Sanders is got a 3.0 ERA, which isn't bad. I think he gave up a couple runs at the very end of his outing against UNCG that he got credited with. He's a good pitcher. It is key that Clemson gets a good outing by Anglin to win this game on Friday night at Founders Park, because I do think there is a clear advantage, at least this season in this particular series, that Clemson does have a clear advantage from the bullpen. And you want to save that for your Saturday and Sunday. So if you can get 7 innings out of Anglin, and even if it's a 1-0, 2-0 game, you get a win on Friday night, you're going to be feeling really, really good going forward for the rest of the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So, Al, we'll get your predictions here. 3 games coming up.
Yep.
Mac Anglin, Nick Hoffman, Nick Clayton. Now, I'm looking at the box here. I'm looking at the stats. Clayton and Hoffman are higher up on the ERA. Clayton, 9.53. He's given up 11 hits and 6 runs in 5.2 innings. Nick Hoffman, 4.5 ERA in 8 innings pitched, 7 hits, 4 runs. So those guys, what do they got to do to do they need to turn it around, or was that just a situation that came up? Was it situational for those runs? Like I said, I don't watch it as much as you guys do, but what do those guys need to do to have success this weekend and stay up there, with the performances of Anglin on Friday?
Well, these guys simply don't. They just don't have the blow it away stuff that Mac Anglin has. I mean, he can absolutely kill you with his fastball. He's way up there in the 90s, high 90s, and these guys are lower 90s type pitchers, and some are around 90 really. And these guys, they're kind of nibblers. They like the corners of the plate. They're trying to work the edges and that kind of stuff. Their out pitches is what they need to make sure that they're throwing for strikes, kind of keep the hitters off balance. But they just got to improve a little bit. It's first couple of games of the year. I'm not overly concerned with it or anything like that. But I do like the switch. I mean, Hoffman's pitching a little bit better. You can tell simply from the ERA. So it's good to switch him to the Saturday spot. That was a good move by the staff. I was curious as to whether they were going to go with somebody like a Billy Barlow or a Jay Dill maybe and give them kind of a shot, or even a Ty Olenchuk potentially could start a game there this weekend. But my guess is they're going to start these two guys, and at the first sign of trouble, they're going to hand it over to the bullpen, which is the right thing to do, in my opinion, because the bullpen's been too good to leave them sitting there and trying to let these guys battle through something if they continue to struggle. So I think we're in a good spot. Like Houston said, you want to come out on Friday. You want to make sure you get that win, and that's going to be a tough win, especially in Columbia. I mean, everybody knows it's not an easy place to play. That they pack it out, they're loud, and it's a tough place to win. So if we can get that one, I feel real good about the series. Even though the next one's in Columbia as well. Still a little upset about that deal, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So I originally thought, and this goes back to my ignorance here. I originally thought they did Columbia, Greenville, and Clemson, but it looks like they've got Columbia, Founders Park,
It's
Columbia,
every other year.
Segra Park or Segra Park.
It's every other year.
And then Clemson on Sunday. So 2 Columbia game. Was that always planned as it was, or?
Yeah. So a few years ago they did it where it's going to be every other year. It's Clemson, Greenville, Columbia, and then in years where like this, the even years are Founders Park on Friday, Segra Park on Saturday, and then Clemson on Sunday. Thanks Dan Radakovich on that one.
Well, let us know what you think. Everybody's getting in. One thing says John Hansen says, what is Clemson doing different than last year? Same coaching staff. Maybe this year will be what you expected last year. I'm assuming he follows the show, because last year I remember you guys were very positive.
Yeah, we were
very excited. It was the key word, right? So,
that's right.
So is this the year that maybe you thought was last year?
Yeah. So last year, you're right. We thought we were really going to be really good last year. We were talking about a potential Omaha run, and we obviously fell way short of those expectations. A lot of things just didn't come together like we thought they would, and that it happens in baseball for sure. But this team, I mean, has the makings to be really good if they can continue to hit and get those guys up there in average, like you said. As long as England and Grice continue to hit, you got to get those other guys. You got to get Brewer going. Brewer's got to get going. Hawkins has to stay going. He had a rough first day. Everybody wanted to talk about the first game of the season. He went 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. He's got to continue to hit. He's a veteran guy on this team. He's got to do that. And then you got the guys like Corbett, and they've got to make something happen. They got to hit for average. They don't have to hit a bunch of bombs or anything like that. But that's kind of what you're looking for. And the fact that we're playing such good defense right now is fantastic to me. I love the fact that we don't have a lot of errors. It's something that's plagued Clemson in the past, but the bats are going more. The bullpen has been fantastic. And you can't, I mean, that's what we're looking for. It's about pitching. Everybody knows that good pitching beats good hitting any day of the week. And so that's what we need. We need the guys to step up on Saturday and Sunday and kind of get their groove, because we know we got Mac on Friday night, and the bullpen guys are solid as can be. So this team is got me excited. I don't want to get overly optimistic, like I said, until they play a team with some good arms. But I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. How can you be disappointed with 8-0?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to this weekend and seeing what the Tigers can do with the baseball team, and see if they can finish out being maybe 8, 9, 11.
Kudos.
I just had as long as I have enough fingers to help me with that. But we appreciate everybody getting in. So we talked through our baseball. We appreciate everybody getting in. It got about 22 so far over on Facebook and YouTube. one thing I always like to remind people is the best thing to do for the video, for the show, for the channel, whatever it may be. You understand how it works. Basically, you have to like the video. So if you don't mind, over on Facebook, if you hit the like button, and on YouTube as well, hit the like button. That will help for other Clemson fans see the show. So the more you like it, the higher number we have of likes. The tags that we put, like Clemson, Clemson Sports, Clemson Talk, Clemson Football, Clemson Baseball, people who also like those things and search those things will see our videos. So we'd appreciate any support that you can do for us there. And if you're really feeling really froggy, go ahead and jump, and why don't you invite a friend and hit the share button. That would be even better. Share it, send it in a text message, and say, hey, check out these guys, because we're not just a show about ourselves. We're a show about you too, as you can tell. We like to include you. There's a lot of shows out there that talk about Clemson, but don't ever actually include the people watching. And so that's what we've always tried to do from the beginning. And your voice is just important as our voice. But even if my name is on the show, which, Alan and Houston like to pick on me about. But anyways, all right. So we talked baseball. Let's talk a little bit of softball, fellas, because let me tell you, let me give you an update. Let me give you my dad update here. We went to tryouts last night. We had tryouts, the evaluation. Al, you remember this? Houston, you remember Little League evaluation? You're nervous. You go out there. You don't know what to expect. You got to hopefully show out good enough to where somebody will want you to be on their team. And you hopefully don't get put on a scrub team like with Allen.
Exactly.
And, no, I'm just kidding. You hopefully get them put on a good team like Allen. So we get there, and she's got her cleats on. She's got her glove and everything. I think I bought her too big of a glove. That's first dad mistake. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think I'm gonna have to get her a smaller glove, because it seemed like all the other girls that were 7 and 8 year olds had T-ball gloves still, which I was like, I'm not going to buy a T-ball glove because we're not playing T-ball. So I bought a small youth softball glove. Well, it's like 2 inches bigger. The T-ball glove is like 10 inches, and the softball glove's like 11 or 12 inches. So it's a little bit bigger. Now, Annabeth loves it because it's purple, of course, but it is kind of like giant on her little small hand. So dad foul there. But, in true Morgan Force, fashion, she looked the best. She had the best shoes. She had the best socks. She had all the gear. So Al and Houston, as you guys know, Houston, you don't know, but whenever I play a sport, I may not be the best out there, but I'm going to look the best. And I'm just carrying on that tradition. So she did good, though. She hit a couple of balls in the batting practice into the net, which was hard because we had never practiced throwing from beside the batter. I'd always thrown in front of her. So she was nervous about that, but she had 2 good ones. Fielding, we're going to have to work on. When I bought her the glove, it was rainy and wet, the couple of weeks ago. And so we never really could practice like with a real ball. We kept practicing with the foam ball. But anyways, all right. So that's my softball spill there. Going to have practice next week. I'm looking forward to it. But the softball girls, there's a big weekend coming up because they're getting ready to play Virginia Tech. They're top 10 team. It could be another top 10 win for the girls softball team. And it's, as far as I know, sold out. So you're going to have to go on StubHub and pay like astronomical prices. You're going to have to pay football ticket prices to get to this game, to be honest. But when you go there, it is a great atmosphere, a great stadium. There's not a bad seat in the house. And this is a huge weekend because this is a ACC matchup, and this is a top 10 team. I think they're 7th overall in the nation right now, and Clemson's just right behind them in the rankings. So the things that you want to make sure going into this weekend, it's kind of like Clemson baseball. It's all setting up perfect for the softball girls. They've got Valerie Cagle. She came in. She faced 8 batters in 2 innings and struck out 6. Didn't allow any runs. Was perfect. She's feeling it. She's been struggling this year, having a couple of wild pitches here and there. Abby Vieira is a new catcher for her. Abby seems like she's been batting better than JoJo Hyatt, so they've been putting Abby in there more. Bill Lanham told me she's from California. She's a big-time recruit, and so she's been doing a lot better, or at least so far. So they've got her in there. They're trying to get that, connection between the pitcher and the catcher, right? But still, everything that you wanted to see on the weekday matchup with Gardner-Webb happened. Cagle came out, got her confidence high, did amazing. And then I've been saying this for 2 weeks now. Gumbarda, and she's even been saying this in the post-game press conferences. She's off. She really hasn't been hitting the ball like she was last year. She's trying to figure it out. She's been hitting T-ball. I mean, she's been practicing. And it's starting to pay off dividends now. She came out, jacked a home run. I don't know. I can't remember. Is it 2 or 3 run home run? But she jacked a home run. She had a couple of RBIs on the game. And so perfect for what you want to see, the 2 stars, right? And then you still have Clark and the other players out there dominating as well. Sam Russ is somebody who great leadoff hitter. If she can get on base, you can guarantee that she's going to steal a base. And then also the secondary pitcher, normally in softball is different than baseball. Valerie Cagle could pretty much pitch almost every single game because of the way they throw, right? But they got Reagan Spencer, who came out and also did great. She earned the win. She's 3-0. And so she threw 2 hitless innings with a couple of strikeouts. So really good from the Gardner-Webb game going into this weekend. So, again, very exciting to see what the girls can do on the softball diamond. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be watching this weekend. I hope you guys will be too, bouncing back and forth between baseball and softball and basketball on Saturday too. So,
yeah, I do want to say, like, this weekend, the runs are going to be at a premium. Virginia Tech, for a reason, is ranked ahead of us because they have the best pitcher in the league. Keely Richard is very good. She's very good. She shut Clemson down last year. It's great that they have her again in Clemson this year. Thank goodness for the COVID scheduling, having to bring them back this year. So, it's going to be a run. It's going to be at a premium. So defense and mistake-free softball is what's going to hopefully win them the series this weekend.
Very key, very key. Al, you're going to watch some of it. I hope you do. Looking forward to it. Let's see. We've got Friday is 5 p.m. Saturday is going to be at 1 p.m. and then Sunday to finish it out at 12 p.m. All right. So we appreciate everybody getting in. John says, go Clemson softball. And WB2DX says, talk a little bit about the spring game. We are going to talk a little bit about the spring game. So just hang tight. John says, thanks for finally including softball. We've been trying to do it. We've been trying to do it this season. I know we didn't do it much last season, but that's one thing that a lot of people like you and other fans that watch the show, man, we can go hard on recruiting. We can go hard on spring. We can go hard on football. And I want to go hard on those things. But Clemson's a multi-diverse sport and person university. And so we want to cover those others out there. And so Allen, Houston, love baseball. I'm starting to really love softball now. And then obviously basketball, we want it. We have a love for basketball and they are doing better. And so we're seeing some strides being made at the end of the season too. Let's talk about men's basketball. All right. So they're coming up. And this will be we'll go into basketball and then we'll go into the spring practice discussion. All right. So they just finished against Georgia Tech, fellas. I got my notes here. I watched the replay, and now, just like we said that they could be, we were kind of skeptical, but they're 15-15 overall, and they've won 3 games in a row. They've got Virginia Tech coming up Saturday at 2 p.m. The Georgia Tech game was one of those games that you would not expect from the Clemson basketball team, to be honest with you. I mean, they were down like 13 in the first part of the second half, and I thought, this is it. There's no way they're coming back. This team does not come back. This team loses comebacks, all right? This team has the lead and loses at the end. That's what this team does. They don't come back from 13 down. Au contraire, my friend, because they did come back from 13 down. And I'll be honest with you, after the second half, it seemed like when they put in Bohannon, I don't feel like was much in the first half, but he came in and he had that like senior fire about him, like when he got the ball, man, he was looking at the rim and he was going to attack with his left hand, which is hard to defend left-handed because that's not your traditional side. So he attacked and man, he had a lot of success. He even had a really cool spin move for a score as well. And then at the very end of the game, as Al always liked to get that last minute and one to seal the deal. So, but it wasn't all Nas Bohannon, because if we talk about Nas Bohannon, first of all, let's brag on Nas Bohannon. We'll run the round table on Nas, but it wasn't all about Nas. But we'll start with that. Big Al, what's your thoughts on Nas and how he did to seal the deal and what he did in the second half?
So what's funny is we were gone at Ash Wednesday service last night and took the youth group out to eat. And I get home, I get a call from Marty, my friend Marty, and he's like, "Are you watching the game?" I'm like, "No, I just got home." And I turned it on, and just in time to see them inbound the ball and Bohannon get the big bucket. So that was pretty awesome. And we've liked him since he got here. We thought he played. He doesn't have the elite measurables that you're looking for or anything like that, but he plays with tenacity. He plays. With speed, he gives it all he's got. A lot of grit, a lot of effort there. So I love players like that, and he was able to get it done. And I did not think he was making that shot when he went up and got the contact. Making the and ones are not something Clemson's very famous for. I didn't think he was going to make that happen, but he did, and it was huge for the win. And
it was kind of a weird, like it snuck in there. He hit it hard. It was kind of hard off the glass, and it went in. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. For Nas Bohannon, it's a great way to go out. You got one more home game after this, but it's going to be a memorable way for him to finish out his career at Clemson. I texted, I put someone on Twitter. I tweeted out, I was like, man, it's kind of frustrating. Like, this team playing like it is now, you wish you could have seen this more in the more crucial part of the stretch when they were, losing to a team like Georgia Tech, or not being able to do something like that against UNC or Duke on the road when they had their chances. It's bittersweet because you see the potential budding, but is it enough right now? And I would love to see Nas Bohannon finally put it together, because he deserves to have that type of end to a season. And I'm alone on camera now.
And so I like Nas. Like I said, I thought he was going to contribute more than he really kind of did. He kind of ended up being an off the bench guy, but that's really been great for him. It's weird that this lineup has been doing way better this year, or I wouldn't say this year. I would say this year, because it's kind of like you had two starters go down, and they seem to be harder to defend, in my opinion. I mean, it seems like that there's no one superstar like PJ Hall out there, but there's 5 really decent players that can contribute and that are very confident right now. And so, you don't know who to double team or who to, worry about from certain angle, or maybe like lean over towards on your defense. You don't really know who to scheme for, because Clemson has multiple guys that they can go to the rim or attack you from outside the perimeter. So it's pretty exciting. I mean, 2 of those guys are brand new freshmen, to be honest with you. I'm looking at Ben Middlebrooks, and Ian Shefflin. Man, Shefflin had like 1 million rebounds last week or last game. And Ben Middlebrooks, big, tall guy. I was talking to Faxon about it earlier today. The problem with him is that he's like, 14 years old. So he's still got to grow up a little bit, not just kidding. He's really like reclassed, and he's like 17 years old. But, it's pretty interesting to see those 2 young guys. I think they're getting really valuable experience from this late season, really injuries that just kind of forced them onto court. Houston, we'll throw it back to you. What's your thoughts on Middlebrooks and Shefflin? And is there anybody else that's kind of surprised you other than those 2?
I mean, I think out of those 2, I'm surprised at how productive they've been this year. You kind of look at them when they first started the season, and just calling a spade, I was like, man, these guys kind of look like goobers, man, when they trot out there. And when they started playing, I was shockingly surprised. They were like Matt Howard from Butler is the best player comps. Both of them in their own right play a lot like him. You see Matt Howard, especially with the hair that he had back in those Butler run days, and you're like, oh man, he's a goober, man. Oh man. And then he plays, and you're like, oh, he's legit. He can ball. And I think with the hustle play, especially out of middle, the thing that I was most impressed with Middlebrooks is how he gets after rebounding. I couldn't tell you how many points he had, but the thing that stuck out to me was he was going to claw somebody's eyes out to get a rebound. And that's what I want out of a big man. You obviously want somebody who can score, but if you're really wanting to take control of the game, you need somebody like that to get the rebounds. So I was impressed. I'm impressed with their productivity, because I didn't know what to expect out of them. I think the one person that you can say that really contributed though last night, and is going to keep contributing, I feel like the last couple games of the season, is got to be Alamir Dawes. He gets into a corner, it's ball game, lights out. That's what got Clemson back into it. He hit a couple of threes, and it was a new ball game.
He hit the goal. He hit the three to give them the lead, and then like you said, that was kind of Bohannon was leading them towards being getting closer and closer, and then Dawes just kind of like got him over the hump, and then they just took it from there. Al, your thoughts on how they did against Georgia Tech and those players?
Well, I wish I had a lot of thoughts because, like I said, I've been able to. I've missed most of these past few games. It always seems like they're hitting on Wednesday nights. The past couple have hit on Wednesday nights, and that's youth night for me. So I get home a little late to the party. But I tell you this, I've been impressed at times with both Middlebrooks and Shiflin. I think they've both shown some really good things. And hey, you can get a big man that can move a little bit and got a nice touch. That's gonna pay dividends down the road for sure. So I think it's a great thing that they're able to get some time. Obviously unfortunate circumstances, but as long as they're able to get in there and get some experience, I think it's really gonna be helpful for Clemson going into next season. But look, we're playing pretty good basketball right now. I like that Houston was talking about Alamir Dawes. I believe it was Houston talking about him. Sorry, I was telling my girls goodnight a second ago. I didn't know if y'all noticed that or not.
Yeah,
but
good.
when Alamir gets going, we talked about him. I remember we had Oglesby on here a couple of years ago, and we're talking about, dude, this guy's going to be a real problem for some people. And quite honestly, he never really got to the level that I thought he should be at. But he has these games where that's the guy we've been looking for. That's the guy we were talking about 2 years ago. And if he can become that consistently, it's going to be a real issue. Hopefully that time is the ACC tournament.
So they're on a 3-game winning streak. They got 1 game to go to finish out and have a winning record. Now I know a lot of fans out there say there's a contingent that would say, I wasn't expecting this. I was kind of hoping for something else so that we could move on from someone else. But they did end up pulling themselves up, winning 3 in a row. Now they have a chance to have a winning record overall. Still, 7-12 in the conference from originally being 4-12. They've shot up a little bit from the conference standings. They were 3rd to the bottom, and now they're getting closer and closer, creeping. They're really as high as they can be right now. They're Syracuse, Florida State, they're both above them with 9 wins in the conference. And then Virginia Tech have 11. So the best that Clemson can do is 8. So they can't really go any higher than where they're at right now, which looks like to be 10th in the conference. So Houston, even with that being said, Virginia Tech is looks like 7th right now in the conference. What are your thoughts? The BPI from ESPN has a 58.9% chance of Virginia Tech winning, a 41.1% chance. But my thing is, watch out. Both the teams have a 3-game winning streak, but I'm saying watch out because 1, it's at Little John Coliseum, and 2, you've got, like I said, you got a little bit of a fire under David Collins, who finished the last game with 19 points. He's really come on as kind of the replacement leader as far as the scoreboard goes. So, Houston, are you confident? How do you feel about beating or playing against the 19-11 Virginia Tech?
I don't know. I mean, this is like at this point in the season, we've seen Clemson play well above what they're capable of. We've seen them have games where you're like, "What are you doing?" And so I don't know. Like I think they can win this game, but it would not surprise me if Clemson comes out flat. I mean, I'm glad that Clemson won against Georgia Tech the other night, but let's not forget it was very ugly. It was filled with multiple 5 to be exact, 5 3+ minute scoring droughts in that game against the worst team in the ACC. 5.
The worst team in the ACC is true, yes.
Yes, and you can't afford to do that against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is too talented, too well coached to allow that many scoring droughts to happen. Virginia Tech will capitalize on that. With that being said, I don't know. You could have a situation where you have 2 3+ minute, 4+ minute scoring drives, and then Alamir Dawes hits 4 threes in a row, and all of a sudden it's a new ball game. So it's really trying to predict that game is like trying to herd cats, man. I don't know.
Alan, you can't say, are you going to say what I think you're going to say, and you're going to say, I agree with Houston?
I was just gonna, point and be like, this dude right here, because I'm with. If I'm not mistaken, Virginia Tech is kind of fighting for their NCAA bubble lives right now. I mean, so that's motivation. That's a big deal, and also there's a lot of pressure on them. And Clemson wants to play spoiler right now. I think would be kind of a motivating factor going in. But as far as the game itself is concerned, like I said, I've been out of the loop unfortunately for a few games, and certainly haven't paid any attention to Virginia Tech and what they're doing. But hey, like Houston said, it's been such a crapshoot this year. We just don't really know what's going to happen. But it's certainly a game Clemson can win, and I'm pulling for them to do so, because I'm not the guy that wants them to lose so that people are gone. Yeah.
So I would say this, something completely random. I just remembered Faxon. I was talking to Faxon Childress, and he told me that he reminded me that he was glad that they beat Georgia Tech because their coach was the coach last year. Guys, do you remember he wore the bicycle shield, the plastic biker shield?
Yes.
He wore that, and then they didn't get a call for them, and he yanks it off and slams it on the scoring booth and breaks it. So he can't use it anymore. They didn't have a backup or something like it. It was something ridiculous. He just and it was a whole conversation about are they going to allow him to coach on the sideline because he broke his visor? I'm so glad. And then I see a headline that the NFL and the NFLPA have decided they're not going to be doing all these ridiculous COVID things, because guess what? The players spoke up and said, hey, we're not going to the combine. we're going to skip it. We're going to stay at our pro day. We're not going to sit in some bubble. How stupid was that to say after all this time that you say you're going to go to a bubble? I mean, come on. You had to have known there was going to be some backlash for that. But
right.
All right. So thank you so much for getting in. Again, if you want to help out the show, like the video over on Facebook and YouTube. We got Tiger Paw 1979 saying, look at the Owlettes. Sweet girls there.
Little camera time.
He also said David Collins was great in the second half. He played 37 minutes and scored 19, mostly in the last 20 minutes. All right. And so that was a lot about basketball. That was really what we got in the comments about basketball. Most people are in there already talking about the spring practice that come up. And again, I was talking to JP earlier from allclemson.com. Love his work over there. Great friend of ours. And tried to get him on the show, but he's kind of busy tonight. So I did want to go through some of the bullet points that he said, or the offensive and defensive observations from the spring practice, because I think they're really good, quick hitters that we can also talk about and give our discussion with. All right. So Al, Houston, we'll start it off by saying that some of the observations we're seeing is that everybody is now agreeing on what we said when we saw the video recently from DJ Uiagalelei in Texas. He is for sure a lot skinnier than he was last season. He also seems to have grown and become more confident, according to JP. Ball seems to be looking different coming out of his arm. So we see some improvement, and it seems to be a lot of positive improvement coming from DJ, from his mechanics. He's still wearing his knee brace, so seems like maybe, not sure enough, or maybe not confident enough to not wear it, or maybe just needs to wear it for whatever reason, medical reason or whatever. With that knee brace, though, I've tried on one of those. They're carbon fiber. They're not really super heavy. The offensive lineman one is a little bit heavier, but I will say they're custom made for you, and they fit. It doesn't feel like you're really wearing something, especially when you wear the compression sleeve on your leg and everything. Really, it feels tighter, but you feel more confident, especially if you've kind of had a weak knee or had some repair there. So I will say, even though it does look bulky from a TV standpoint, it might not be any problem for DJ at all. I saw film of him going through some obstacles and going through some practice reps. He seemed to be obviously skinnier and fluid. Obviously you can't really go back to what you did. You're going to have to improve on what you did last year. So the sky's the limit, in my opinion. And I'm kind of over. There's a time to really criticize somebody. But in the off season, I'm over it. Let's see what he can do. Let's give him his blank slate, wipe off the whiteboard, and give him a shot again this spring and in the spring game. Al, your thoughts on DJ and that he's looking slimmer? I don't know exactly, but I think they said he's getting close to that 222 for 22. That's my goal for him.
Yeah, no, I personally think he's good where he is. I don't care if he loses a few more pounds, but I don't want him to get too light either. I think he's going to be in good shape. This is something we want for him again. Yeah, like I said, I was DJ's defense guy all last year. I was trying to, some people probably thought I was making excuses for him, and that's fine. But look, he had some struggles. There's no doubt about it. But I thought there was a lot of things that went into play there, and this is just something that he's going to have to do to better himself, because you have to be better at quarterback this year. Plain and simple. We got to be better in a lot of areas, but quarterback is definitely one of them. I mean, it's your field general, right? It's kind of the most important position in college football. So you got to make that happen. Whatever it takes, whether it's slimming down, whether it's working on his mechanics or anything like that, building his confidence. If it's something as simple as that, great. Because again, I go back to this because I've said it over and over and over again. We've seen it. We've seen what he can do when he's at the top of his game. All right, there's no reason to believe he can't do that again. And he's going to have some help from some guys. They're going to have to make, receivers are going to have to make plays. They're going to have to get open. And when it hits them in the hands, they're going to have to bring it down. But it can happen, and I'm looking forward to it happening again this year.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, for both, I'll preclude talking about Cade. Both have weight things they need to do, and they're the opposite. I think if DJ loses 4 or 5 more pounds, that's fine. I think they'll drop him to like 235, and like that's fine for his frame. He's built like a defensive end. So, trying to go down to 225, it might be a little much. 235, if he can move around and he feels confident, and most of all, he can keep all that power and strength and keep that arm talent, and then finally marry that with accuracy and confidence, that's great. Cade, he needs to gain probably about 15, 20 pounds. He's slinging it. He looks, accurate from all accounts. So, he needs to gain some weight. But either way, right now it's so early, and I'm gonna say, almost like I say, relax to everybody, is like this early part, you're not going to necessarily get the full picture of everything yet. It's going to be fun to watch what happens, and if one quarterback looks better than the other in the spring game, then that's going to be the talk of the town for months. But really, it's just like we gotta wait and see. It'll be the most interesting storyline and the most telling, but also it's not the full picture.
I want to show this picture for you guys over on Twitter, of the guy you were talking about. Let me share it real quick.
Oh,
look at
yeah.
this guy. Look at this guy. I mean, that's number 8. Okay. That's Adam Randall, as Houston was talking about. And one of the key points that JP also said was just how massive and how just game ready he already is, and just how much he's obviously spent in the weight room. Al, Houston, I mean, I'm looking at this guy's arms and I'm scared. I'm scared to death. But I'm also seeing somebody who, again, as we mentioned, we can beat up DJ all we want. But to be honest with you, the wide receivers around him have got to get open and get separation. And my first thought when I'm looking at this picture is, this young man right here can get open and get separation. Al, what's your thoughts when you look at this guy right here? Again,
when you see that frame, he's open. It doesn't matter if he gets any separation. He's open. All right, yeah. Just throw him the ball. I mean, that's kind of what you're looking at. And that's what you want to see. I mean, that's what Clemson, is used to. They've seen Mike Williams as the world that look like that and go out there and they can make big plays. And I mean, this guy's looked like that a lot earlier than Mike Williams did in his career. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. It took Mike a little while to get there. But he looks absolutely physically ready to be a stud right from the start. And, I mean, there's a lot that goes into the receiver position other than looking like that. There's no doubt. So, got some things to work on, I'm sure. But, yeah, it's certainly encouraging to see that.
The caption from Unnecessary Roughness says he should be going to prom because he's an early enrollee. So, again, in typical Clemson fashion, this guy is still should be a senior. Houston, I mean, you've been saying it for months now. This guy, the next level, is this guy the guy you think is going to start before anybody else as far as freshmen go?
And this, the craziest part about this is he's the lesser talked about wide receiver in this class because of Antonio Williams and what he can do with the ball. You're looking at, I don't know. I don't want to put labels on this because I don't
label it. Come on, label it. I dare you.
You're looking at a baby Sammy, baby Newt kind of situation, but different skill sets. This kid's built like DK Metcalf.
I mean, with arms like that, I'm looking at baby Mike Williams here.
Oh, not even baby Mike Williams. I'm looking at somebody who, like, call him John Jones. He can get in the octagon with you and snap your neck. He's gracious. So I'm interested to see, because the wide receiver group, nobody's talking about that competition, but it's going to be a bare knuckle brawl when it comes to getting on the field. And you look at him, he looks like he's going to be ready to go.
I mean, just look at those legs, man. Just massive. I mean, I hope that he comes out, and that's what Clemson's known for, is having guys that are that can come out quick and be producers in the wide receiver group. And you got him. I mean, just a little bit, just maybe 10 yards away from him in this picture, you're seeing Bo Collins. And obviously, I was high on him last year. I'm going to be high on him again this year, because of the connection between him and DJ. But Bo is 10 yards further back in that picture and still looks like a massive human being as well. So two amazing wide receiver guys there. And then if you sneak a peek over there to the right-hand side, there's Joseph Ngata, number 10, who, if he can stay healthy, is also a massive guy that Al and I were huge on when he was a freshman. So really excited to see, this wide receiver group, because again, like you guys mentioned, it's really about the having weapons around him that can improve DJ and help him be better himself. Now Dabo mentioned this in his press conference, that there's a lot we could say about DJ and we can beat up him all the time, but it really goes back to the pieces around him. Now let's go back into another piece that's really key for the Tigers, not just the wide receivers. I think Al's a little froze there, but not just the wide receivers, but the offensive line. Now, Houston, since Al's froze, we'll start with you. My concern here is Al's back. All right, Al's back. So my concern here is we are, last year, I kept telling myself, when there's smoke, there's fire. When there's smoke, there's fire. When there's smoke, there's fire. Don't ignore the obvious. Don't ignore the obvious. I keep telling myself, because I felt like we did that with the offensive line, with the offense changing the guard. We thought they were going to be right back to where they were. And man, were we slapped in the face because of it. So this year, I'm going to try to avoid that. And what I mean by that is I'm seeing some smoke with the offensive line that doesn't really make me feel very good. Okay. Will Putnam's having to move from guard to center because Hunter Rayburn's gone with his neck, and Mason Trotter is going to be out for a calendar year. No comment. So we don't really know what's this offensive line. And there's already concerns. So again, I would rather be positive, but I'm seeing smoke here. Houston, you seem to be perplexed with your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to this is day one of spring ball, fresh off of the most injury-riddled year we've had on record. And look, Rayburn was surprising. I don't want to underscore losing someone of that caliber. He's good. He's very good. This is given people who want to complain and beat the drum of roster mismanagement another feather in their cap to look like an idiot. But you don't know, one, he's already said he's going to go to the portal. He knows what he wants to go to the portal. They're going to go to the portal, potentially for one or two.
When you say he, you mean Dabo Swinney.
Yeah, I mean Dabo
clarify.
Swinney.
Anybody doesn't know.
Yeah, Dabo Swinney has already mentioned he's going to go to the portal. It's a fluid situation, and I expect them to get somebody out of there that'll contribute. There's going to be several guys, and we don't know. There might be more injuries. I want to preface all of this because you're coming off an injured year. There could be more injuries, so I don't want to underscore that. But there's going to be players that did not play at all last year that are going to get opportunities to play that are going to change a lot of people's opinions. You got Dedrick Pennington if he's healthy. that could be a major contributor. You got people like Trent and John Williams who are going to be contributors this year. They weren't as much last year. You've got Colin Sadler and Blake Miller who have been compared already. Their talents, they've said they're the most ready college linemen since Mitch Hyatt. That wasn't there last year. And then you also have got Mays and you've got Tate, several guys who can play, and you still got McFadden. I really think right now it's an overreaction to just say smoke and fire, because it's just we haven't turned the page quite yet. You're still dealing with injuries. It'll feel more like what we're going to see in 2022 as we get into the summer. But right now, it's just like we got to assess this from who is truly injured, who's going to be out. And it could be that those are the only two and we're able to fix this. It could be more. We don't know yet. And so it's just like, just hold on for a second before you freak.
So I'll read to you what JP said. Will Putnam has made the move from guard to center and was taking the first team reps with the offense and was running tempo. Ryan Linthicum worked the second string. Linthicum looks different physically from last year. You can tell he's been working out in the weight room. Mitchell Mays was working with the first team at right guard. Marcus Tate was working at left guard. It will be interesting to see about Dietrich Pennington if he can crack into the starting lineup when he's fully recovered. The offensive line, not quite the same without Robbie Caldwell barking out orders. Thomas Austin doesn't appear to be as vocal, but he is definitely hands-on and has every player's full attention. So again, Al, we're looking at this offense and we're talking about a lot of coaching changes. A lot of coaching changes on the offense, a lot of coaching changes on defense. Again, I could spin it and I could say, hey, center's not that big of a deal. It's kind of in the middle. You can compensate with your two guards, just got to really worry about the snaps and things like that. I could say a lot of things. But to me, I'm going to say it. How my first initial concern is that you've already lost two guys. And so Rayburn was one that you thought you would have and you're not going to have. Trotter is somebody you also thought you would have and you're not going to have. And then we kind of already know the cards. The cards are Linthicum's not ready. The cards are we need to go to the portal with a team that really is slow to go to the portal, has lost out on a lot of centers that a lot of people have griped about over the winter, even though Houston and I researched them and they really weren't a very high match for Clemson anyways. But as John is saying in the chat, it looks like it's slim pickings now. Yeah. But on the flip side, after spring, there are going to be a lot of teams where the players say, you know what? I'm not going to get the reps that I thought I was. I might could go to Clemson and get a lot more reps, maybe even start. Al, what's your thoughts?
Look, I mean, or somebody could just say, you know what? I want to play for a championship caliber team. And I think with Dabo Swinney coming out and saying that we're going to look for the portal, they may be getting a couple of calls, would be my guess. So I definitely think they're going to get at least one from the portal, if not a couple. And you were talking about the Will Putnam moving to center situation. I think it's a little bit different than another type situation. It's like, Hunter Rayburn was supposed to be here. Mason Trotter was supposed to be another guy. He's not. It's not like these guys just aren't performing and they're having to move Will Putnam to center. They're having to move him there out of necessity because they literally don't have the bodies right now. So it's not that it's overly concerning talent, as an overall talent-wise type thing. It's just it's the numbers thing that starts to scare you because it hurt us last year. But yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, we gotta have the numbers. I think they're going to go to the portal. I think they'll find one, if not two. But I like a lot of these guys. I like a lot of these guys that like Dietrich Pennington. He's a popular name that comes about. He's a big-bodied guy. He's somebody you want. He looks like a prototypical offensive lineman. That's the kind of guy you want in there. So hopefully he's able to come back from injury and really make an impact. But you got all these other guys that people want to talk about. They want to talk about Linthicum a lot. And there's people out there that saying he's just flat out not ready yet. And Houston mentioned John Williams and Trent Howard, I believe. Are a couple of guys that you haven't heard a lot from. I actually liked Trent Howard's film when he was in high school. I remember talking about him thinking he was going to be a little bit more productive than he has been. And again, I mean, he still got time. It's not that he can't be, but he was not a overly highly regarded offensive lineman. I thought he looked good. I thought he looked like a mauler if he could put on some weight, and I think that's been part of his issue. I don't think he's gotten as much weight as they wanted him to have. But we have some options. We have the Tristan Lees of the world, 5-star guy, okay? Had to reshape his body, but he's a 5-star guy. So you think the talent could be there. And you've got the Marcus Tate as well, who had to play a lot last year. So, I mean, I'm not as concerned about the offensive line with any like talent wise. I'm concerned from a number standpoint, and I'm hoping that we're gonna remedy that through the portal. But it's one of those things that every single year it seems like we say that we think the offensive line is going to be a little bit better. We think the offensive line is going to be a little bit better. Well, if Clemson wants to, get back to being Clemson and back in the national championship, it needs to be this year where that actually happens.
So we also got people saying, Tiger Paul 1979 says, spring practice game will be weird without our best running backs who are sitting out spring to heal. I'm not as worried about that. It will be weird for sure because you've got Phil Maffa basically taking the first team reps and then a bunch of walk-ons after that. And then you have, Keith Adams is not there yet. So, basically have Phil Maffa by himself, as far as a legit first string guy out there. Obviously Pace had a boot on. Shipley didn't have anything that you could tell, but he's still rehabbing some things there. But I think, again, I've said this from the start, my feeling is if this offensive line can figure it out and be cohesive, this could be one of the best running teams in the nation. And so I'm not necessarily worried about that. We also have WB2DX get in, says, put him in the slot, talking about Adam Randall. I don't think you need to put him in the slot because from what I'm hearing right now, fellas, Brandon Spector is back. He looks really good, taking first team reps. And then Troy Stellato is actually taking second team reps behind him. So this could be the year of a comeback from the slot position where you don't even need Bo Collins to be there, even though he was a good serviceable slot receiver towards the end of the year. Houston, Al, what do you think about Brandon Spector being back finally? Is this a relief for you?
So I'll go first here. Yeah, absolutely. The more bodies you have, the better. Same thing on offensive line. You want bodies to choose from, especially when they're healthy and they've got talent.
Will Brown.
Yeah, Brandon Spector's got talent. We know that, and I like the fact that we have several options there. Troy Stellato is a guy that we thought had a ton of talent based on his film. Will Taylor is the same way, dynamic athlete, and he went down, unfortunately early in the season last year. And then we've got Antonio Williams coming in. I think the slot options are going to be there, but you want that slot body. We haven't had it. We've been experimenting with other people. It just hasn't worked out quite like we'd hoped with the Overtons of the world and the Rosses of the world and the Bo Collins did actually, I think, better than most of them, as a matter of fact. And maybe that was due to his chemistry with DJ. I'm not really sure, but you want the slot body. You want the quick twitch guy that can get in there, that can make the tough catches, that can get open, and that can do something with the ball. And we've got some options there. So it's going to be, I think it's a big relief that we've got some guy that we thought we were going to have available last year who's now back. So that's a good thing in my eyes.
Houston, Jeremy Glassburn gets in and says, y'all need to give Ryan Linthicum some love. He's a true center. I think he was the number one center last year. Don't sleep on him.
I mean, hey, if he's a starter, he's a starter. I ain't going to hate him. I mean, if he starts, great. That's what I want.
Yeah, I mean, we're gathering from other information, and we know a lot of fans want to see him as a starter. Mm-hmm. But from the sources that we're getting, which meaning the media that you can read and we read, it doesn't seem like he's ready. I mean, I can't wish it more on him than he can himself, right? So he has to put in the work. I mean, I would love to see him in there and see him perform. Al, I'm assuming you feel the same.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we gotta see him to be able to praise him. I mean, we talked about him being the number one center coming out of high school, depending on what service you were looking at, and he was. And all we've heard so far from people in the know is that he's not quite ready yet, and that's okay. Hey, we'll be his biggest fans if he's our starting center. Wanting him to do well and make sure he's mauling people at the line of attack. That's something we're very good at, and telling these guys how good they're doing. So I'm hope that's the case. I'm just right now we don't really have anything to go off of.
So on the defensive side of the ball, and then we'll finish up for the night. But for his notes there, this is Will Vandervoort did the defensive side, and JP Priester did the offensive side over on allclemson.com. But he talked about RJ Mickens intercepted a pass. Freshman cornerback Toriano Pride knocked down a ball, and they both looked to be good. Also, speaking of freshmen, Jaden Lucas looks impressive. He is obviously sticking out for his body size, 6'2", taller than most corners out there. Sherrard Koval was getting a lot of one-on-one attention from Mickey Kahn. And so the secondary, guys, they're losing Mario Goodrich and they're losing Andrew Booth Jr. But could this be one of those where they pick up right where they left off and maybe are just as dominant in the secondary, maybe even better because their back secondary has Mickens and Pride maybe gets in there a little bit, or maybe you see Fred Davis, maybe you see some other guys that come in, and Makuba that come in there. Obviously, Makuba is going to be a starter, we assume. So could this be improved considering you're losing Booth and Goodrich, and you are losing Turner? So I got to do this again. There could be some smoke there considering you're losing 3 starters out of 4, right? Houston?
I mean, I look at this like I look at wide receiver. You have 2 freshman corners who they're saying are pretty ready, especially early returns on Pride. And Lucas has been very impressive as well. I'm not as worried. I'm not as worried about most of these positions, but especially in our secondary, in Clemson's secondary, you have those 2 as well as Fred Davis, Malcolm Green. You got Mickens, Makuba, Xanders when he gets healthy. These guys that haven't even come on the field yet, haven't even enrolled yet. It's going to be an all-out war, I think, to get playing time. I especially think these freshmen are going to see early action if they keep impressing like they have been. I think people are underrating the secondary in what this year, especially if you talk about the linebacker and the movement that they've seen there, this could be one of the fastest, most athletic, potentially one of the best defenses ever to come through if they play to their potential next year. And I think the secondary is going to be just fine.
All right, Al, last question of the night. We'll finish it out. Didn't Simpson move to weak side linebacker? I'm not really sure about that. You guys might know, but what I will say is this. The linebacking core is going to look different too. So what are your thoughts on the linebacking core? Houston gave us the secondary. What's your linebacking core thoughts?
I love it. I think that is a move that happened. Yeah, he did move to weak side linebacker. I think that's in order to get Barrett Carter over there, maybe at strong side. I think this is going to be a very good move for Clemson. I think the athleticism is going to be off the charts this year, and it's something, quite honestly, that Clemson isn't used to.
Yeah, I mean, think about this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Carter, Simpson, and if they want to, I think he's going to end up, before the end of this next season, Jeremiah Trotter is going to be starting there in the middle. That could be probably the best 3 linebackers on the field at one time that Clemson's ever had.
We mentioned this in December, how when we were projecting and looking out forward, and you just can't keep those 2 guys off the field. It's getting to a point where you can't keep those 3 guys off the field. So we were talking about Simpson, and we were starting to see glimpses from Carter, and we all agreed you're just not going to be able to keep them off the field. They're too good of players all around to keep them off. And that looks like what's starting to happen even from the very beginning. The coaches are already seeing it. They're already putting them out there and throwing it up there. So they will put it in there. And, I mean, can you imagine that 3 is pretty scary to me. Not only that, anything is scary when you have the defensive line that's coming back to kind of restart. Guess what, fellas? You heard of the Power Rangers, the legendary Power Rangers. Well, KJ Henry has come out and said, bump the Power Rangers. It's time for the Avengers. So we now have the Avengers. I think KJ is Captain America, which I would have preferred he given that to me, even though I don't play on the team. I would have preferred he gave that to me, considering I'm a veteran. But whatever, he can be Captain America. And then looks like Miles Murphy, with like Miles Morales kind of deal, going to be Spider-Man. Word on the street is XT is going to be Iron Man.
Thor. He already tweeted he's Thor.
Okay, I take that back. He's going to be Thor. Don't know who's going to be Iron Man, but everybody's demanding that Nick Eason now wear an eye patch every day and become Nick Fury.
Nick Fury.
So, we'll see what happens. Our friend Austin Pendergeist gets out and he's going to do some graphics, I think. So we'll see. But fellas, the time's up. It's actually past time.
Yes, it is.
We got a lot of people in. if you're still in and you missed anything, I try to get in later on this week, like tomorrow, preferably. I try to get in and do my editing and throw out any of the replays. I cut it up, or you can go back in on Facebook or YouTube and watch the replay of the show. But I will say this, everybody that's in, we really appreciate you guys. I mean, we've been doing this for over 3 years now. So we started with like 5 people watching us, and now we have all you guys coming in. So it's really exciting, and we're really thankful. But best thing you can do for us is send us $1,000 in the mail, and also like the video. So if you don't have $1,000, that's okay. Just like the video on Facebook or YouTube. And if you're feeling really, really, really froggy, you go ahead and share the video with a friend. What I always say is be a friend, bring a friend next time. So next time, tell somebody about the show. Tell them it's 7 o'clock Thursday night and that you want them to join. And also remember, get into the comments, because we talk about what we want to talk about. We also talk about what you want to talk about too. So again, we really appreciate everybody on Facebook and YouTube. And we hope everybody has a good rest of the week and a good weekend. Have a good Clemson Tiger weekend and a ton of wins this weekend. Let's see, how many wins can there be? 3 wins in softball, 3 wins in baseball, 1 win in basketball. So that's what, Al, what is that?
You're close. You're getting there. I can tell.
7 total wins. I don't know if there's any other games. I'm sorry if I missed gymnastics or lacrosse or whatever they have now, but I appreciate everybody getting in. Guys, that's it. That's a wrap for us. Unless you guys got anything else. Before we finish,
I have a girl crying in the other room, so I can go.
Well, you got somewhere to go. You got somewhere to be. So I haven't had dinner yet, so I'm gonna go grab some dinner, maybe at Chick-fil-A, and give me a grilled chicken sandwich. But on behalf of myself, Houston and Alan, and our sponsors, don't forget to watch the video before and after the show for our sponsors. We really appreciate them as well. But we'll see you, Tiger fans, at the top of the hill.
Tiger fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home, and take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place if you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina, with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. Family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their 2 locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs.